Hey man, once you truly understand women, something inside you changes forever. Not in a bitter way, not in a hateful way, but in a way that makes you calm, still, and untouchable. You stop chasing what doesn't exist. You stop expecting logic where emotion rules. You stop taking things personally, and you start seeing patterns, predictable, repeating, emotional patterns that explain everything. And when that clarity hits, you realize the truth. Women don't live by truth. They live by feeling. What they say, what they promise, what they believe, it's all real to them in that moment. But once that feeling fades, so does their truth. Understanding women isn't about decoding manipulation, it's about accepting fluidity. Their emotions shift like the tide, their desires bend with attention, and their loyalties follow who gives them the strongest emotional experience. To a man rooted in logic, this feels chaotic, even cruel. But to her, it's natural. A woman doesn't change her feelings change her. That's why the woman who cried in your arms today can walk away tomorrow without a second thought. It's not evil, it's emotional survival. The first thing you lose when you understand women is illusion. You stop expecting them to love like men do, with permanence, reason, and consistency. You realize women love emotionally, not historically. They don't love you because of what you've done. They love you because of how you make them feel right now. And once that feeling disappears, so does the love. That's why her forever means for as long as it feels right. Understanding this doesn't make you cynical, it makes you free. You start to see the games, not as cruelty, but as instinct. The tests, the silence, the pullbacks, they're not calculated punishments. They're emotional safety checks. A woman tests to see if you'll lose composure, if your mood depends on her attention, because to her, emotional stability equals strength. If you react, you fail the test. If you remain grounded, she feels safe. Every woman subconsciously looks for a man who doesn't flinch in the storm of her emotions, because her emotions are the storm. Once you understand women, you stop chasing closure. You realize no explanation will ever make sense because her decisions weren't logical to begin with. You stop asking why, because why doesn't exist in emotional logic. She didn't leave because of something you did. She left because of something she felt, and that feeling might have had nothing to do with you. It might have been boredom, curiosity, validation, or fear. Trying to reason with it is like trying to reason with the weather. You also stop believing in consistency. The same woman who said she wanted a real man might reject one because he made her feel too small. The one who said she wanted honesty will call it rude when it no longer flatters her. The one who begged for love will run from it when it feels too close. It's not hypocrisy, it's emotion overriding intention. Understanding that means you no longer fall for words. You watch behavior, because feelings can lie, but patterns never do. The more you understand women, the quieter you become. You no longer need to argue, explain, or prove your point. You realize most arguments with women aren't about truth, they're about emotion. She doesn't want to be right, she wants to feel heard. And once you give up the need to win and simply stay calm, you start to see her melt. Not because you surrendered, but because you stopped feeding the emotional fire with your logic. Peace, not persuasion, becomes your weapon. There's a strange calm that comes with understanding women. You stop falling in love with potential. You stop trying to fix them. You stop rescuing them from chaos they chose. You learn that love doesn't mean sacrifice, it means balance. And once you stop overgiving, you see how quickly most women lose interest when they can no longer feed off your energy. You realize they were never in love with you. They were in love with the way you made them feel about themselves. The deeper your understanding grows, the more detached your heart becomes. Not cold, just discerning. You can still love, but you love with awareness. You no longer romanticize emotional instability. You don't confuse drama with depth. You don't chase women who need healing. You attract women who seek peace, because once you've been burned by chaos, disguised as passion, peace becomes the most attractive thing in the world. Understanding women forces you to understand yourself. You realize your attraction to emotional women wasn't love, it was addiction. You were addicted to the highs and lows, to the validation, to the challenge of trying to win her approval. But once you heal, you crave something different. You want connection, not chaos. You want truth, not temptation. You want peace, not performance. And that shift is what separates men who repeat cycles from men who rise above them. When you understand women, you stop fearing rejection, because rejection no longer defines your worth. You realize attraction is emotional currency, and emotions are volatile. One day you're her dream, the next you're her past. You stop taking it personally. You see rejection not as failure, but as redirection, because the moment a woman leaves, she frees you from a version of yourself that depended on her for validation. That's not loss, that's liberation. You begin to notice how women test your patience not to destroy you, but to measure your discipline. She wants to know if your emotions belong to you or to her. Every time she pushes, she's asking silently, "Can you lead me when I'm lost?" When you understand that, you stop reacting to her moods and start mastering your own. Because the more you lead yourself, the less you need to lead her. She'll follow the energy she feels safe in. Once you understand women, love stops being fantasy. You stop chasing butterflies and start building foundations. You don't fall for the woman who excites you. You choose the one who stabilizes you. Because excitement fades, but peace multiplies. You stop mistaking chemistry for compatibility, and you start understanding that a calm relationship isn't boring, it's mature. And maturity doesn't come with age, it comes with understanding. You also stop trying to be her everything. You realize no man can fulfill a woman who isn't fulfilled within herself. Her emptiness isn't your responsibility. Her validation hunger isn't your problem to solve. You stop over-investing in potential and start observing emotional stability. Because the truth is, you can't save someone from their own reflection, and the man who tries, drowns. When you understand women, you learn to respect feminine nature, not fight it. You stop calling them crazy for feeling deeply, and you stop calling yourself weak for caring. You see that feminine energy isn't evil, it's chaotic. It needs structure, not suppression. It seeks leadership, not control. The masculine man doesn't dominate the feminine, he grounds it. And that grounding only comes from self-mastery. Understanding women also means accepting that they live in duality. They crave independence but long for protection. They want attention but respect mystery. They want equality but secretly admire dominance. You stop getting confused by contradictions and start seeing the pattern. A woman's words reveal her fantasy, but her behavior reveals her truth. When you understand women, you start valuing your energy like gold. You don't give it freely to anyone who looks good. You reserve it for those who bring peace, because you realize energy is the real currency of attraction. The calmer you are, the more powerful you become. The more you chase, the less they value you. But when your silence speaks louder than your attention, you become unforgettable. You'll also notice that most women don't want love, they want attention. Attention is addictive because it feeds the ego, not the soul. And once you stop providing it, they feel withdrawal. They'll start reaching out, not out of affection, but out of emotional starvation. But you no longer respond the same way, because your worth isn't in who you chase, it's in who you attract by staying grounded. Once you understand women, you realize you don't need to hate them for their nature, you just need to stop expecting them to act like men. They are emotional beings, not logical ones. They will say things they don't mean, change their minds, contradict themselves. But that's not weakness, it's their nature. And the man who accepts that becomes unshakable, because he no longer needs them to be something they're not. He just knows how to respond from strength. You stop falling for words like forever, loyal, or different. You've heard them all before. Instead, you start watching consistency. You stop asking, "Do you love me?" and start asking, "Do you respect me when you're angry?" You stop wondering if she'll stay, and start observing how she acts when things get hard. Because any woman can love you when it's easy. Few can love you when it's inconvenient. Once you understand women, forgiveness becomes easier. Not because they deserve it, but because you see the pattern clearly. You understand they hurt from fear, they test from insecurity, they leave from confusion, and you no longer carry that pain personally. You simply release it, not to forget, but to be free. Because every time you forgive, you cut another string tying you to your old emotional self. And the best part, you stop playing the emotional tug-of-war. You no longer need to chase or compete. You become grounded in solitude. You find peace in being misunderstood. Because once you understand women, silence becomes your greatest strength. You realize presence speaks louder than paragraphs, and stillness says everything words can't. Understanding women also means understanding your purpose as a man. You weren't built to revolve around emotion, you were built to anchor it. Your calm is the foundation she leans on. Your clarity is what leads her through chaos. But that leadership doesn't come from dominance, it comes from discipline. When you understand women, you stop reacting to them and start mastering yourself. You realize that love isn't about ownership, it's about alignment. You no longer force connection where energy doesn't flow. You no longer beg for love that has to be earned daily. You choose mutual respect, not emotional dependency. And once you move like that, women treat you differently. They sense your peace, they feel your strength, and they either rise to match it or fall away, naturally. So remember this, brother. Once you understand women, you'll never be the same again. You won't hate them, you won't fear them, you won't chase them. You'll simply see them. You'll move through love with awareness, through relationships with calm, through rejection with peace. You'll stop asking, why did she change? And start saying, of course she did. Because once you understand that feminine energy flows with emotion and masculine energy stands firm through it, you realize your job was never to control her, it was to master yourself.